that being said, let's bring us back to the Master of Unlocking podcast. It's been a week. I'm not even going to get into it, but personally, but because we already went through it on the pre-show. So anyway,
premium subscribers got that.
Right,
content.
Premium subscribers got that content that I didn't hit record on. But I want to talk about the holiday pie.
Okay.
Because we had the holiday pie. The first thing I do need to note is if when you order that in the app, you have the option of making it a meal. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I did notice that. That's awesome.
What does that? Does it come with fries and a drink?
So it is 99 cents as a single option. Okay. If you go to make it a meal, you get 2 for $1.39.
Oh.
And that's a meal, according to
That's
McDonald's.
a meal. That is an entire meal.
According to McDonald's, 2 pies is a meal.
Yes. I mean, if I had 2 of those, it would be a meal. But I got to tell you, I had 2 bites and I said, yeah, I'm done.
No?
No.
Jason?
I liked it, but Logan doesn't like that kind of stuff.
No. So my whole, because we got 2 of them, the whole family got to enjoy. I went ahead. Because I did a meal. I mean, I basically catered my McDonald's here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go through the rankings here because I didn't like it. It's not my kind of thing. I'm a chocolate person. This is not chocolate. For me, it's a definite 2. My wife gave it an 8. My oldest daughter gave it a 9, and my youngest daughter said, "I don't ever want to eat that again."
There you go.
So we were 50-50 in that.
It's the most polarizing dessert of 2020.
So, to paint a picture out there for our listeners, I said it last week, but I'll say it again. In my opinion, this is the apple pie crust that McDonald's uses.
Yes.
Stuffed with cake batter, uncooked cake batter.
It says custard, technically, but that was uncooked cake batter.
Yeah. And
I liked it.
I really liked it.
I figured it would.
It a lot.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me that you liked it, Jason. It is like, if you like white cake, that's your thing.
Yeah, it's like scratches that confetti cake itch, and I'm a big white cake guy. I mean, Caleb cooked me a white cake, baked a white cake not that long ago. So, I thought it was pretty good. I was also pretty psyched about the free Big Mac that it got me on Tuesday.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Because all you do is like spend $1, right?
I went for the holiday pie, stayed for the Big Mac, but it was free.
Okay, now how was the Big Mac, and how long has it been since you've had a Big Mac?
Oh man, it's been a long time. More than a couple of years since I've had a Big Mac, and it was I don't know if it had been that long, but I was like, I see why people like Big Macs. I remember Big Macs. Yeah, special sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty all right. Yeah, I was pretty proud of myself. And I had to do it because I was like this is this premium sandwich, this $4 sandwich for nothing. So I had to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's free.
Did Loki have the dessert?
He's
Where did
wanting
he rank it.
He did.
The cat's butt.
The cat's butt says no thanks.
Okay.
He did not have it. I don't believe he did not take a lick. But
Okay.
yeah.
Caleb, do we need to give it a number? I'd give it an 8. I'm
gonna go 9 actually.
All right, there you go.
Oh, this guy loves it. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say that the apple pie, honestly, to me is a 10. So
okay.
I'm not quite at that level yet, but
it is a good dessert. Those, in fact, I like even those ones that are like preservative filled gas station apple pies. I don't know if that's Hostess brand.
The Hostess ones are
but they're basically like a fried Krispy Kreme donut and with apple. Like those things are.
Those are probably the worst thing you can eat.
Yeah, and I do like.
I believe it because they taste like it.
One of those things is like almost 700 calories,
and
it's just all fat.
It's your whole day worth of saturated fat and plus some. I do like the chocolate versions of those. So I mean
they're delicious.
They're ridiculous. Yeah, but that makes sense because it's like well, I can't eat anything for a month now because I ate 2 of these. Like,
Yeah.
what was I thinking?
I mean, you could make it a meal and get 2 out of it. I mean, that's
Yeah, you're right. And well, I did have a Diet Coke with it, so I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it evens
fine.
out.
It's
Yeah.
fine.
Do we have a recommendation for next week?
Kind of.
I have
few
a-
options.
I have an insane recommendation, but it's a long-term commitment, so I think let's go with Caleb's, and I'll save
Long-term?
mine. Yeah,
Well,
it's something.
let's see if you guys like any of these, because again, I'm just
Okay.
pulling them off of this website, and then if not,
Okay.
we can deal with.
All right.
Because a lot of these are places we've already had.
Okay.
Okay.
Papa John's has stuffed crust pizza now. Nacho fries are back at Taco Bell. And they also have a bacon club chalupa.
Can we stop there?
They've had that before, yeah.
Can we do that? I want to do that. Can we
You
do
want
that?
okay, both the chalupa and the
If
nacho
you
fries?
if you guys want to, I'll leave that up to you. But I would like to do one of those.
I think we could probably do both.
Have they not made it a box yet? That's what I'm concerned about. Like, how is it not the $5 chalupa fry box?
Yeah, with two specialty items.
That is
You know?
shocking that there's 2 Taco Bell specialty items at one time. I know they are bringing the nacho fries back on Christmas Eve. Like, they're literally treating it like a Christmas present.
I'm not seeing a box or
It's because they're
anything.
freaking awesome.
Oh, this that starts on December 24th though. So
That's
Yeah,
what
that's
Logan.
what-
yeah.
yeah.
there you go. Sorry.
Pay attention.
So I say one of those, if not both. You guys make the call on how many.
I can already say I'm probably not going to like the Bacon Club chalupa. Just because I'm not a chalupa guy and I'm not a bacon guy.
You're not a bacon guy?
I don't like, especially like bacon bit kind of things.
I've seen you ingest plenty of bacon.
Have you?
You're a bacon guy.
I like
Yes.
bacon on a sandwich, but have you seen me like eat a slice of bacon?
I guess not. It's always been on a sandwich.
Yeah, that's it. BLT, yes, like big bacon cheeseburger, yeah. Otherwise, yeah, I'm good without bacon. I need bacon on a piece of cow.
Nacho fries?
Okay. Nacho fries.
Mhm.
But we'll have to wait until at least Thursday, right?
Yeah,
Thursday?
Thursday. Yeah.
So you
bet
can't
the-
get this one out of the way early.
Yeah, I bet that we can find our way over on a weekend, Saturday or Sunday, to a Taco Bell.
Saturday or Sunday lunch run sounds about right for nacho fries. All right. Well, so all right. I mean, we've all got some Cyberpunk update probably this week, right? Do we want to talk about anything on the periphery of Cyberpunk? Because I mean, we could talk about how it got delisted from the Sony store. It's got another patch that came out today, I think.
What the thing does this mean that this game has not released?
I think so.
Is this game eligible for Game of the Year?
I
If it's
think
not
that
available for purchase.
I think that is actually a more interesting conversation for us to have, and it is a little bit selfish on my part. But Logan, to answer your question, I would like to start there a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we've all played it a little bit, and today I came to the today I came to the realization that I'm not exactly sure I want to play this now, which
Yeah.
is weird
Mhm.
because I would like to see
Finish?
we've all talked about
Mhm.
and we've all talked about what they've done in the past, especially with the Witcher games, but those weren't this,
Mhm.
these weren't turning certification standards on their heads, like this is a mess, right? But it also at the same time feels like, especially for me, and Caleb, you might feel differently than Logan and I, but Logan and I are going to play this on console, and eventually it's going to get a
next gen patch.
yeah, there
Mhm.
you go. Thank you, Logan. Which will make it a little more comparable to what you're experiencing, Caleb. But we also would have the benefit of not having all of the bugs potentially that plague it just from, I don't know about you guys, but every time I sit down with it, it's something.
Mhm.
It's always
Even on
something.
PC. Yep.
I did hear about a massive game-breaking issue, like to the point where you would probably throw it out the window yesterday. there is an issue that if your save gets above a certain file size, because you may have too many items in your inventory, that it can't handle it, and it just corrupts the entire save, and there's no fixing it. And so this typically happens late game when your inventory slots get so big. I think it's over 8 megabytes of a save, that it will completely corrupt it, and whatever you've done is gone and lost and will never be found.
If you catch it, you can revert back to another save and then just be careful.
Right,
about it.
but if you have a single save,
yeah,
you're stuck.
Yeah.
That's horrifying. That's terrible.
I'm okay either way if we're talking about the game of the year discussion, because I've played this game enough to be able to evaluate it. I don't need to see more of it to be able to evaluate it properly for my individual list and our collective list. So if it's out now, if we're saying that this game is complete and it has released, then I'm prepared to evaluate. But I could also see the argument being made that this has not actually been released yet.
The cool thing about that is that this is entirely for us. You know what I mean? Like we're the only opinions that count.
Yeah.
And so what
We can
officially happened at the Game Awards, or what will happen with some media outlets that haven't done their lists yet, I don't care, because it's our list. So I guess I lean towards, with two of us playing it on a console that may see a significant update in January, February, beyond.
I think it's going to be beyond.
I see a benefit of Logan and I having a more similar experience to yours, Caleb, at least wise and concerning fidelity, at least. You know, because I looked at some footage today because I was really curious about high-end previous gen cards and then current gen cards that are out now. And I was pleased with the first large patch. It wasn't the day one patch, but the one that was just a few days after that. I was pleased. There was some difference. It was like, okay, I can tell I'm not playing this on an Xbox One. I can tell I'm playing it on a Series X. But I've also noticed between where I'm at and PC footage, there's a large
gap.
And so that's when I would like to play this game. Honestly, I've realized is I think I want to wait, and some of that is motivated because and we can get to it, but I'm more interested in other things that I didn't think I would be that interested in, and so, I don't care. I don't care if you guys are really passionate about it. I'm like Caleb. I could go either way, but I don't feel like finishing this game this year, personally.
Same.
I just don't feel like finishing it.
Really? I think I'm in the same boat. I thought about maybe trying to get through Act 1 by the end of the year, but I gotta tell you, I have a Series X now, and I took about 30 minutes to play it today, and even on my Series X, I was like, the draw distance on this sucks ass. Like, there's just constantly textures popping in all over the place. Like, it didn't crash on me, so congratulations, you made it 30 minutes without crashing on me. But I'm still just driving around town. I'm like, this is bad. Like, it reminds me of Crackdown 2. Like, some of even the textures and stuff in there. And that was a 360 game. Like, in just some of and how it's popping in.
I think something, Jason, something you said actually really resonated, in that you said you don't want to finish this game this year, and I think that might be an indicator of the quality of the game in general. So maybe it's eligible, and we just
can we just say it's eligible in both years now and call it a day?
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So the state of where it is now, it can get ranked this year of the state of where it is now, and next year it is eligible to get rated. This is a one-time only executive decision for a game. Like, but it is what it is. Like, it's I'm good with it being eligible both years based on where it's at.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that, Caleb. Very okay with that. Yeah, I don't have much else to say other than I've played pretty good amount of it.
Yeah.
I'm not where Caleb's at. I'm probably just around 10 hours. But
Have you
I
finished
just
Act
don't.
1?
I want to. Yeah, I have.
Okay.
And I just want to.
Okay, you were actually
don't
pretty
know.
close then, story-wise.
Are we? Okay, yeah, I've finished Act 1. I just really. It's. I think that what I'm curious about, I can wait to see in hopefully its best state. Because I think there are things that I like about it that will have me coming back to it. But like Caleb said, if I look at the quality of the game right now in 2020, I'm thinking about playing other stuff
Yeah.
before we talk, honestly,
Yeah.
at this point. So if you guys are good with that, I think I'm going to spend my gaming energy elsewhere. And then I can kind of swap what we were talking about last week. Cyberpunk now slots into that beginning, middle of next year, maybe lull. And that's a good way to spend that time probably for us, because Logan and I will see at least wise a more polished version visually, and then hopefully all three of us see a more bug-free
product
thing. Yeah.
So, what are you going to be doing with that time? It seems like you've got a couple games you've been fiddling with there.
So 2 new games. I'll start with the small one. A quick story. I thought last week I would have 2 new games for GameFly. The mail has been a mess. And then like 15 days later, my game that shipped on the 3rd, Immortals Phoenix Rising, showed up yesterday. 2 copies of it.
Why?
Because one was lost, and then they shipped another one, and then they both showed up at the same time.
Neat.
I also got a different game before that. The game that shipped later showed up before both of those. So I played that for like an hour. That is a Ubisoft game. It is a Breath of the Wild light, it seems to me so far.
Yeah, it takes a lot of inspiration.
It doesn't. Jeez, yeah, that's. That's being kind, Caleb. But it also is holding your hand in the way that like an Assassin's Creed / Ubisoft game would do. Also, it's weird. It's like Zelda, Assassin's Creed. You know, like it's kind of both of those.
Yeah,
my daughter really
likes a lot of stuff.
So those are the 2 that come up to me. But I'm sure as I play it more, Caleb, I'll be like, oh, here's this game, and they'll probably all be Ubisoft games.
Yeah,
you know, besides Breath of the Wild. But that game seems like overtly fine. Like I was
right?
I was surprised. I was like, this feels okay. It doesn't feel great. The combat feels okay. It doesn't feel awful. It's not great. The voice acting fine, the animation fine, the graphics are fine. Like it's just it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't stand out in any way really, but it's not like, I don't know, maybe coming off of Cyberpunk, it's like, well, this works. This game plays. My daughter really liked playing it. Like, she's coming off of Astrobot. Like, so some of that platforming stuff, she was kind of getting her head wrapped around and enjoyed. And it was something, honestly, I knew, like, I could put in her hands and it wasn't going to be, like, super violent. You know what I mean? Or, like start swearing at you like crazy. So yeah, I like that game okay, but that's only a small experience with it. Caleb, did you play that anymore, or are you still at the same spot?
We just kind of dropped off of that one.
You would have to. You'd have to have like a pretty. I would imagine for you and maybe for me, I would have to have a pretty good gap in games to maybe take it seriously.
Yeah.
But it's not bad.
Right. I want to leave that one on the back burner because at some point during the course of one of these upcoming years in like June, I'm going to be like, man, I could really go for a collectible open world game. And that'll be there for me.
There you go. There you go. So you and I may have it on a similar back burner depending upon what games are out when. But the revelation for me this week, Yakuza Like a Dragon. I like that game a lot. That game it's got, and maybe I just like Ichiban, the main character, a lot.
He's awesome.
It's Troy Baker, so that helps.
Oh, really? I didn't know it was Troy Baker.
It's well delivered. God, he's such a he's such a lovable idiot. Ichiban. It's Logan. This game is funny. Like
It's funny?
especially coming off of a game like Cyberpunk where it's like
Super serious.
it tries so, but then it tries so hard to be funny and be like crude humor and jokes and stuff like dick jokes, whatever, and like Yakuza is. I don't know. It was just such a breath of fresh air. I was surprised, and maybe it's Troy Baker's performance that really helps that. But he's such a lovable idiot. I can't. I would like you, Caleb. I've seen the major betrayal early on in the story. Like I've watched nothing but cutscenes, but maybe because you prepared me for that, I was so not mad at it. Like I was just like I can go for this. I can't believe how much I like this right now. I go for that.
The first like 3 to 4 hours of that game is literally like you run from one cutscene to the next. That's all you're doing.
Yes. Yeah. You went from one to another. I didn't see it coming, and I am giggling more often than I care to admit. Ichiban makes me laugh. It's just the stuff that comes out of his mouth, and I don't know, just even when there's a big time gap that happens, right? Something happens to him when he's 21, and then you resume with him as he's 40, and he hasn't gotten any smarter. You know what I mean?
In fact, he might have gotten dumber.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And it's for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe it's because that game at its heart is like a very long anime drama. But we'll see where it goes. But I like the early part of that game a lot. So much to the point where I was evaluating what to play, and I was like, I think I'd rather play that than Cyberpunk. Which I thought I would never say, ever.
This game's like 100 hours long, right?
Yes, but it's so funny at the beginning. I don't know what to tell you, Logan. It's obviously a huge time commitment.
Yeah,
I was surprised. I was like, this is pretty good. I like this a lot.
The thing that scares me is I was told that there is a very heavy need to grind at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Like up to like 10 to 15 hours. Like if you mainlined it, like that you would have to go back and really grind your way just to beat the boss.
Has that been patched or updated in any way, Caleb? Do you know?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah.
That's also like, as far as I understand, that's also like 40 hours into the game is when you hit that wall. So it's not something you're going to hit.
40? Yeah. I thought it was like 60 or 70.
I mean, it's towards the end of the game.
I guess I was under the impression that it was like an 80-hour game, and like that you hit close around 60 to 70.
So you'll be able to, like, who knows if any of us here are going to finish it, but we'll at least be able to get a bunch of fun out of it before we even get to that point. So
I don't know how I feel. Like I don't know if and we'll see, because the last time something like this, a game like this, grabbed me was Persona, and I definitely need to see that to the end. Also, I do remember, and I think if I've heard correctly, that you can cheese a dungeon if you really want to.
I've heard that as well. There's an area that essentially you can. I don't know if it's like an area you can go back to. I don't know for sure, but I have heard that there is a way that like essentially you can turn that grind into like 2 or 3 hours instead of 10 to 15. And
that similarly, there was a way to do that in Mementos in Persona 5. So, like, it depends on. It's an option, right? You learn how to do it, use the exploit, and then get out of there. And so, I don't know. I think I'm evaluating where I'm at for the rest of the year before we talk, and I could see myself taking what I thought would be Cyberpunk time, and maybe even Hades time, and just spending it with Yakuza. Well, that is including the conversation we had last week about if I just feel like, because if I feel so much pressure, just seeing it, because I love playing Hades so much, like it doesn't impact how I feel about it, but I do want to see those next 5 finishes for myself. So that might just be a YouTube thing, and then we talk.
I think that's where I am too with Hades. I did go back and I played probably about 10 more runs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even close to being able to beat Hades without my broken comp that I had the first time.
Oh,
So
Okay.
I just like I got to him a couple of times, but then he just mops the floor with me. So
Does that include you on God mode as well?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I feel like I'm at the point now where I kind of just want to look up what those are instead of beating my head up against it a bunch of times.
that's fair.
Caleb, I totally respect that. Like, until Logan really told me what I needed to target as far as like boons and what gods they came from and stuff like that. I loved playing that game, but I was like dying
I
all
feel
the
like
time.
like 95% of the game I'm totally fine. It's just the Hades boss fight and the boss fight before that with the two guys, the archer
Minotaur and
bull.
yeah.
Those two fights, I die there. I die on one of those two fights every single run.
Yeah, and I got to a point where it was just like it was all a matter of just figuring out my builds and my play style too. Because there are people who swear like by the guns, and I'm like, what are you talking about? That's like the worst weapon in the game. And yet, but the people are like, what do you mean the sword and the lancet are the worst in the game? So it's just everybody's got a different play style.
Caleb, I will say that there are two things that if I get, I will finish it. There are two things. One is the Athena call, because it makes you invincible during that call. And then the other thing is the Daedalus upgrade that gets you 2 health back every time you get a hit. And when you combine those two things, you level up your call all the way, and then you pull it, and you literally stand there and smash. You collect all the health that you've lost, and you are invincible because you during that call. It's your attack. The Daedalus upgrade.
Daedalus upgrade.
It's with the sword.
Sword. Okay.
Yep, sword.
Mm-hmm. So like that, I know if I get those two things, I will finish it. If I don't, 50-50. I may not make it. But for me, that's the when I'm looking for the things that I want to finish it, that's it. And that really helped me because I was able to simplify kind of what I was looking for, speccing the character in a certain way, and then I have been able to do it without those, but it was like
hard.
Even on God mode, it was hard because you got to get the hell away from Hades, and you got to get the hell away from the archer when you got to better get one of those pillars in front of you. You know what I mean, or else a quarter of your life bar is gone. So I get that, Caleb, and I'm just, if you just watch the cutscenes, like I get that. That's probably what I'm gonna do. I know how I feel about playing the game. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And if you just take your time, or use your time wisely, I guess. So okay, well, I also got a new game this week that I played about 3 hours of, just because I haven't had a lot of time. But I started playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That game looks very nice.
It does.
It does.
You're playing a next gen game on your new console. Congratulations.
Yep.
Well done.
So yeah, I'm playing on PS5 because I didn't expect to have my Series X yet. So playing that version.
Can we just, by the way, since we're talking about this, can we just applaud Ubisoft real quick? Because they're always on top of the new generation.
They do. They always get a next gen version out there.
Here's 2 games right away that you can have that are new generation compatible.
And this one, talking about bugs earlier, this one is pretty much like, other than like the typical like weird.
Yeah, there's some jank of like, when you're climbing something, your feet like don't always feel right, but that's everything.
It's the Assassin's Creed jank. It's the same that's been all.
Yeah, I mean that's not anything new.
At the beginning of last generation, Arno didn't have a face. That was a little disconcerting.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, this stuff's
like
been
a top
fine.
hat with eyes and teeth. You remember that?
Okay, that's not. I know that screenshot floated around, but that was literally without the day one patch that happened.
Was it really? See, there you go.
So that game gets a little bit. Like, because the reviewers didn't have the day one patch, obviously, so they were the ones posting that it was so buggy.
Yeah.
I mean, it got a little bit of the short straw on that one.
Yeah. The thing I've noticed so far that probably bugs me more than anything is that so my daughter was down there with me when I started the game, and I actually was, because I did my Cyberpunk character as female, I was going to do my Ivor as male, but my daughter said make her a girl because you got to choose. So I did, and Ivor looks exactly like Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn.
The default
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah, the
That's
default
funny.
hairstyle, everything. And then, but then that even looks like your brother or whatever, Sigrid's wife. Like, they're on the screen together, you can't tell the difference between the two. Like, they're literally the same character model, with one has the little side braid and the other just has straight hair down. I was like, really? Like, you didn't think about that this early on in the game, that these characters looked exactly the same? Okay. Uh, Assassin's Creed still seems to be a game that wants to move farther and farther away from things that I like in a video game. Um, that's just a personal thing, though.
Like what specifically?
Too many systems built on too much stuff when I think I just want to go pick up that game and assassinate some people. I also come to the conclusion that I don't like games that, and this is also a Demon Souls, Dark Souls thing, that I don't like using the triggers to attack. I want square to be my light attack and triangle to be my heavy attack. I don't know.
Yeah, I changed that. I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
I customized the button layout.
Yeah.
And that fixed that for me.
You can change the button layout and stuff, and that it's just one of those weird things. But yeah, and I'm kind of bored with the story of it. I don't think it's really very enticing at all. It goes back to it's just to my still of not liking that, high fantasy Viking, that world. So that's a personal thing on me. That's not on the game. But so I might play a couple more hours of it and call it a day, but just to see how it is. But I'm getting into a little more story, which I guess is good now, but it really took a while to get going.
I hear that the best story stuff in that game, unfortunately, is like 30 hours in.
And that's also the thing of, like, I don't even know if I would make a huge commitment to this game anyway, if it's a 50, 60-hour game to something that I know I'm not going to be super interested in. If it doesn't grab me by hour 5 or 6 here, I'm probably going to call it a day.
That's fair. It's an iteration on Origins and Odyssey. It doesn't do a whole lot new. If you like those kind of games or if you don't.
And I didn't care for Origins or Odyssey, but I mean, it's the funny thing is I really like Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 4, Brotherhood, those. So that game has just every time it comes out, I'm always like, oh, like they've changed it more to the direction that I'm not a fan of. So
yeah, they tend to go in the direction of just having more is better.
Yeah, like to me, less is more on a lot of things. When I play in a video game, I think a lot of times I'm coming to relax. I'm not coming to have to do a lot of management in that type of a game. When in an action adventure game, like I want it to be a little more just go beat up some dudes. And
they definitely do cater to. And Jason and I know a person like this, who the person that plays 2 or 3 games a year, and this is one of them. And that person will be playing this until the next big open world game comes out, and they tend to every iteration of this game is a little bit more geared towards that person.
Logan, you and I have a friend like that as well.
Yeah,
that Caleb doesn't know, but I mean, he's the same. He's the same as who you're talking about, Caleb. Like, he doesn't play a ton of games other than like regular multiplayer stuff, like COD or whatever else, Fortnite, whatever. But like, this is the one annual game he picks up, and he gets like months and months and months out of it, so I think that's where their bread is buttered on these things at this point. But
they're also going to alienate
someone
some
like
people.
yes, someone like Logan who wants to casually look at it, you don't casually look at an Assassin's Creed
No.
game anymore. You can't. Like you just can't. Have you done any of the side stuff, Logan? Like there's three kinds of side things to do. Well, maybe just two. Caleb, help me out. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's loot, like money. There's artifacts to collect. Oh yeah, and then there are side missions.
Yeah.
Stories.
Have
you done any of
I
those?
did one.
Mysteries, I think?
So yeah, today I dealt with a guy who was sleepwalking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one of the mysteries.
Yeah. So
So that's a side quest, quote unquote.
yeah.
So there's no like side missions anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You just go and discover these things.
Yeah,
And
like I
those
saw it
are
and I
the
was like,
side missions.
yeah, I saw it on the map and I was like, what is this thing? And I was like, oh, well, this is just weird. So it was like 5 minutes at most.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that this game does that is interesting and new. Is you go seek out the stuff if you want to.
So
And there is narrative content there. There's collectible stuff there. So I think that's interesting.
is it bad that I think that that's the most interesting thing that's happened in the game so far?
Well, no. I think some of the side stuff in that game here is pretty funny, interesting.
At least more
compelling.
memorable. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I hear some really interesting stuff about the side stories. I've had a few that I can think of that are pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah. All right.
The reason why I ask is because the collectible, whatever that, I think it's artifacts. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But the collectible piece, or maybe it's loot. I can't remember.
There's runes.
It's like
But-
wealth. There's wealth.
Wealth is what I'm thinking.
I think
of. It's not-
artifacts and
Artifacts, okay.
mysteries, I think, are the three like things on your bar.
Logan, I think you should go in the area you're in and go after some of the artifacts, because just in perspective of like what a time sink is like, what they're asking of you, this game, it's interesting for you to see, because those are actual environmental puzzles. They're not just go kick open a chest like
Sometimes
Assassin's
they are.
Creed. Yeah, you're right. They are sometimes, but there are a few where it's like you get there and you're just like, what? And it's like in the side of a hill. It's like,
Okay, I'll try to find an artifact.
What-
See what.
what do I do? I'd say do like 4 of them, 4 or 5 of them,
okay.
just to get the flavor out of it. Because where I'm going with that is like, they're even asking you to go solve like 3-dimensional puzzles when you're collecting. Like, it's not just go collect this thing and move on and check things off there. No, they're asking you to go interact with the space and solve a puzzle. Gain access to a room or an area that you don't have access to. Like, they want you to stop and pick up your phone every time you do that. Like, dude, your game is already 1,000,000 hours long.
Like, why are you throwing this much stuff at me? Yeah.
Let me just kick this box open and move on. God, let me go. You know what I mean? But it's more than that, and I think they for whatever reason are taking care of those loyalists that love playing these games, and for the rest of it, it's like proceed with caution.
Right. And I don't fault anybody for liking the game or anything else. It's just not for me. So, yep. Caleb, you got anything else extra you playing this week that you want to hit on, or
Not really, I was spending the week kind of trying to solidify the bottom half of my top 10 list.
That's fair.
So picking up some stuff that is kind of right on the edge there, and seeing,
Giving it one more run,
give
like
it one more
smell
I played
test, like
played a little bit more, I played a little bit more Man-Eater, played a little bit more Demon Souls. Like, I played just a little bit of a bunch of different stuff, just to see, like,
I like that.
okay, where is all this stuff gonna land?
I'm gonna have to think about that as it gets closer to, and I'm hoping I can maybe get a couple days off the week between Christmas and New Year's. I originally was going to, but maybe not now. So
Yeah. We also, one thing that helped do that was, I mentioned it last week too, we did the charity stream for Extra Life on Friday.
oh yeah,
And
right.
that went really well. We raised $2,300
nice.
That's
between 10
awesome.
streamers. So yes, it was really, really cool.
Cool.
But I just bounced between a bunch of there were a bunch of people that were playing like Among Us. They played for a long time and they were doing other stuff, and I was like, I don't really want to do that. So I was just like, that's what I did, was I just kind of bounced around to random other stuff and played some Hades, played some Maneater, actually played some Dark Souls for a while, just to kind of get my thoughts together on Demon Souls, you know. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and yeah,
Cool.
we're definitely gonna have some bigger plans for next year too.
I had every intention of hopping in and joining you at some point, but the week just didn't work out for me.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, understandable.
yeah, I had every intention of doing it, but yeah, maybe next year. All right, well, do we want to head into the world of TV then? We skipped last week of TV, so since we skipped last week, Caleb, I'm going to let you start off with The Undoing because you finished that last week. Jason and I have been we said our things about it, I guess. So what are your thoughts?
So yeah, I liked it overall. It gave me some Sharp Objects vibes.
Yes.
Which that's a show that I really like. But I don't think the performances were as good as Sharp Objects.
No, that's fair.
Nicole Kidman, I just, every time I see her, I'm just like, just use your normal accent. Your American accent sucks. So again, that's just me. I don't like it when people don't use their normal voices in things. I've said that before about other stuff. But her in particular, just really annoying to me. But overall, I did enjoy the show.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's always a good thing, to enjoy a show. Sometimes shows don't need to be overly critiqued. You know, it was a solid show. Solid show.
It didn't overstay its welcome either. It was
was it 7 or 6?
6.
Because it was Queen's Gambit that was 7. I knew there was some goofy ass show that was 7 this year, but yeah. So, and I think, yeah. So if we're talking, I guess, another group of shows or another show that was short, Flight Attendant. Where's everybody at with Flight Attendant? Like, where are you at with, what show are you on, episode?
I finished it.
So did I. We all finished it?
We all finished it, okay.
I like that show a good amount. That show was a lot of fun. I would say that show is fun.
Yeah. It's not as high quality, maybe, as some of the other
that's why I
shows.
say it's fun.
Yeah. It's it kind of it's higher in quality than this, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of You in a way.
Netflix You.
Yes, Netflix is You.
Yeah.
Sorry,
not like one of us. Yeah.
Logan's the sexiest flight attendant I know.
I know. I was like, wait a minute, am I Buckley? Like, what am I here? Like, am I Alex?
Yeah, it kind of shoots the difference between like a top quality, high production value show and just being dumb fun. It's somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I like where you're at with that. It's because it definitely has its moments where it knows it's not trying to be that either. I think it knows that it's.
Jason's disagreeing with us, I think.
There are times that I think the whole deal with Rosie Perez's character was a little too much at times, a little too heavy-handed for what the rest of that show is. I'm also very concerned about what the plan is, because they are making a season 2. And
are they really?
Yes. And I mean, there were some. I mean, there's very little cliffhanger, to say the least. But the whole thing at the end of spoilers, I guess, of the other flight attendant saying,
"Don't be specific." Yeah, don't be specific about what kind of character. Just say what her potential job could be.
Yeah, there was another potential job for her that someone specified, that someone she knows mentioned.
She could be a super detective now.
Right.
She's a super detective in this show.
Well, they never really said she'd be a super detective. They said she could be an asset, or so. What did they call it? like a public
Yeah,
asset program or something.
something like that.
Human
Yeah.
asset, yeah, human asset program.
Human asset.
Yeah, but it's yeah. I don't think they could tell the story that they could. I mean, then it kind of turns into like a. I would hope it wouldn't turn into a procedural drama at that point. Is what I don't want it to do. Like, okay, every week they're using her as a human asset, and she's gonna do da 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 da, and next week we'll see where she ends up next. Is she gonna be in Alaska next week? Is she gonna be in Rome? Like, it's.
Now hold on. Are you telling me she's gonna become female MacGyver? Because if we're going down that road, then I am more interested.
And she's also not interesting if she's not drunk either, right? I mean, that's the.
I think that show is silly, like you guys said.
Yeah.
But it doesn't know that it's when they're dealing with substance abuse in that show and addiction.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to step down a few weight classes. That show. It needs to. It needs to.
It's not HBO
do a
high
better
drama.
job of it. Well, they need to be more sensitive and do a better job of someone with a serious addiction than that. It does not handle child abuse well and addiction well at all. But the rest of it is fine because it's all absurd, which is fine because that's what the show is absurd. But when they go into those waters, that's not where that show is very strong at all.
Okay.
But the rest of it, I'm fine with it. I wish that it didn't have any of that in there, honestly. And maybe that's because
I don't know. I think...
they're trying to do something that she's not capable of, and their writing staff is not capable of handling. That was not the strength of that show. But the absurd nature of that show, the comedic value of that show, all of that stuff is like right where it needs to be. But
I think
the rest of
that stuff, though, you just get a really generic character.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. Then they need to strike a better tone. They need to have planned that better. Or they need to find an actress with more range, frankly, that can handle that kind of complex.
I thought she did fine. Honestly. I think they just. I think it was.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
If they were trying to handle that differently, if the show was more serious, I would say yes. But the show's tone in general allowed them to not focus on it as much as I think you're wanting them to.
I wish they wouldn't have done it at all.
Right.
It was very uncomfortable for me to watch that stuff. That was cringe-worthy stuff for me. I think she's a great comedic actress, but that was not in her. I don't think she's got those chops. I'm sorry. Where she walks around, where I think it's Garbage starts playing in the background, and she takes. What's the love interest name? The guy that was in the bad Netflix horror show? I can't remember.
Buckley?
Alex. No, the dead guy.
Sokolov.
Alex. Yeah. When she walks around the room with him, and there's the big pile of bottles in the middle of the room, and then no, it's not Garbage. It's Kurt Cobain's wife.
Hole.
That band. Hole. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hole plays in the background, and it's just like, is this who you want to be? She grabs a bottle, she starts chugging it, and that starts playing in the background. And that scene is like, that's something that I would see on network television. Like that scene was. There's some stuff in there that's rough. That's a little bit. Ugh.
I think the thing here, I think you're looking at the HBO part of this. And I'm looking at the Max part of this.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It is a streaming only show. This show feels like a Netflix show to me. Really.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
yeah.
The juxtaposition is hard because I see some HBO in there as far as like farce. Like this is dumb, but it's good because it's funny, it's dumb, and it's not to be taken too seriously. And then they wade into these serious waters, and that's where it feels like
the blend
a Netflix show to me.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just not handled with the typical care you get from an HBO show.
You're spoiled
But
with
I
good
actually,
stuff.
I like that show quite a bit actually. I don't want to seem so negative on it, but that I just don't that stuff really took me out of the experience because I it was so good at the other stuff. I just don't think it was good at handling that subject matter very well. So that's my take on it. But otherwise, I liked it quite a bit.
So the I think if I think we've kind of at least wrapped up on that. So let's hit the other Kaylee Cuoco show that you watched, Harley Quinn.
Do you guys ever think to yourself when you're, whether it be a video game, music, TV, where you think, what kind of people do I have in my life that would recommend something like this to me so strongly? Like, am I this screwed up? Are they this screwed up? Or are we all just this screwed up? And so
option 3.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably right. Because I went from like, I don't know about this, to being like, this is hilarious, to it's just so messed up. That show is so messed up. It's so messed up. And in a good way. I just wasn't, I should have been, I don't know, you're right. I had to see it for myself, and that was the only way you can really understand what that show is. It's something. It's like, it's just not your typical superhero thing at all.
No.
It's crazy. Ron Funches is great on that show, by the way.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, man. And Kaylee Cuoco's great on that show, too. I like that show a lot.
Smooth on that show.
JB Smoove is good on that show too. Jason Alexander, I don't even like him in anything, and he's good in that show.
Yeah. Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad, Caleb. Gus Fring is even in it. He plays Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's good. It's so, I'm like halfway through the first season, and something really gross that makes me uncomfortable happens every episode.
You're halfway through the first season, you said?
The first season, yeah.
So
I'm like grossed out, and then on top of it, like, I'm also genuinely laughing at like a one-liner from like 5 minutes ago that's still making me laugh, you know?
Yep.
Not all the jokes hit, but that doesn't matter because there's one an episode that like just perfect. Perfect. That's what keeps me watching it.
My favorite character, I think, of like a side character is probably Bane. Like the way they treat Bane on that show is just there's no need for it. There's just no need for it, but it's great.
So mean.
Like, he's just so mean to the guy, and he could kill all of them, but he just doesn't. He's just too nice.
You know what's great about that is it's totally Tom Hardy's Bane too. Like,
yeah,
it sounds like a guy doing Tom Hardy's Bane. They just don't care. Like, it's so good.
There's something about when DC makes fun of itself, like Teen Titans Go. Not all those shows hit, but sometimes when they're making fun of their own DC stuff, that's real solid work right there, because it can be made fun of very easily. It's just so.
I like that show a lot.
I'm glad you like it.
I sent you guys a message, like, I don't know what it is about the way that they portrayed Jim Gordon on that show, but it makes me so uncomfortable. Like, I can't. It's like a Michael Scott level of uncomfortable. Two different kinds of uncomfortable, but what I'm saying is they make me both go like when Jim Gordon comes on the screen, I gotta play a game. I gotta do something. I will listen to him, but when you look at his like sad, dead eyes and the way he sounds, like he's in love with Batman and Batman's ignoring him, like all that stuff is just. Oh, and there's a one-liner. Speaking of. That I almost texted you guys. Not quite the moment of Caesar you later. Yeah. But there is early on. It's I think Batman is somebody's gained access to the Batcave, and then he goes at the end of it. He wants to get out of the conversation, and Bruce Wayne goes, "Oh wait, I think I hear the bat signal."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like cut, and I'm like, wait, no, you can't hear them. You can't do that. You're ridiculous, Batman.
That show's better than it has any right to be. Like,
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be some corny, stupid thing, and it's pretty darn good. Like, that's...
I want to give that show. I give that show a little bit of credit for making me feel something, and I didn't. You know, you turn on a show, especially an animated thing, and it's like, well, you know, whatever. This is fine, but I'm appalled by that show. At least wise elicits a response from me.
Mhm.
I'm grossed out by it. I'm tickled to death by some of the jokes. Like I am, for whatever they've done for that silly little thing, it at least wise always gets a reaction out of me, whether it's like grossed out or whether it's just funny. Like I always get something out of an episode of that where I'm surprised. So chalk that up for, let's give it the award for best surprise of the year. There you go. I'm surprised, and I will finish it. It's only a half-hour show, so
Yep.
it's easy to kind of turn through. But that's it. That's it for me.
I mean, I've got a couple things I'm working on, but like I'm trying to get caught up on The Mandalorian.
Dude, okay. The last episode of The Mandalorian.
I
the season
keep
finale,
hearing the last couple episodes were really good.
it's like it's from a different show. It is a level of quality way above the rest of the episodes of The Mandalorian.
So I think that's why I keep hearing people say like, "Oh my god, I can't believe how good this episode was." So I'm on episode or chapter. I think I just finished chapter 12, so I'm getting ready to go to chapter 13. I think this is what chapter 16 is the last episode.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so I've got a
Usually
few.
that show for me, it's like it's a second screen experience. Like I'm paying attention to what's going on, but I'm also flitting through my phone. With that last episode, the phone was down. I was glued. It's
Yeah.
something you got to see.
Okay. That I'm looking. I've watched the last episode running on the treadmill today, so that's the level of intent that I gave it. So it was fine,
Yeah.
but it was entertaining to watch while running 4 miles on a treadmill. So that
Yeah.
was so hey.
There you go.
So I got that done.
Yeah. No, when you get to the finale, like plan an hour or so, pop some popcorn, dim the lights,
Okay.
have some me time.
Just me time. Ooh, a little naked time in there, while we're just sit there with like a necklace with a charm on it and twist it, and then
Yes.
while nude
Yeah.
in the dark. Like
That's exactly what
Lights on, lights off.
if lights on, lights off.
you nailed it.
Okay, it's an out of body experience.
Before we adjourn,
Mhm.
I want to ask you guys, what's the deal with? Is there an American Dad Christmas special this week? Is that
Yeah.
what's happening?
There it
I
is tomorrow.
I have
Oh,
never,
really? That's
dude. When
great.
I saw your message about that, my day went from like 0 to 100 real fast. Like I was having a rough day, and then you said there's a surprise American Dad tomorrow, and I was very concerned about there not being a family or a American Dad Christmas episode this year. And
Here, I'm gonna pull up the title. I think I'm remembering this correctly.
That's really exciting.
did you guys
I-
happen to see the Family Guy Christmas episode this year?
I did.
It's
No.
okay. It's okay.
Was it okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not. Yeah. Go ahead.
The title for American Dad is Yule Tide Repeat.
Yeah. Anyway, the Family Guy episode was it was no road to the North Pole, but really nothing is. That's one of the best Christmas episodes of anything ever made.
Do you think that it's got to be like Santa's going to come for the Smiths, right?
He's been coming
he gonna
every
keep-
year. I mean,
Is he going to keep? Is it going to be like the? Is it going to be like the?
The Live, Die,
I'm gonna
Repeat
have
thing?
To, like loop through time.
Oh
Make it
man!
perfect.
oh my God,
Yeah,
I'm so
and then they
looking forward
finally-
to this.
Kill Santa on the last bit, and then at the end he'll still be coming for the Smiths.
I'm coming for you, Smiths.
Yeah, so good, dude. So good. I'm excited.
Oh,
Is that and that's tomorrow? Oh,
tomorrow? Oh man, because this is my time of year now where every night I gotta fall asleep to one of the American Dad or Family Guy Christmases. So this is I fire up one or two a night. I watched A Very Adequate Christmas, which is the first American Dad Christmas episode, where Stan he comes home and is just nothing is right, and they have to go find the right Christmas tree.
Oh yes.
And he dies while trying to find the right Christmas tree, and tries to hold up God with a gun. And they're like, those don't work here. And then he grabs someone else's gun, and they're like, oh, that's a heaven gun. Like, those actually work here. It was just so
I
dumb.
forgot about that. The heaven gun, yeah.
Like, why do we have those? Like, I don't know. Solid.
That's not the same episode where Steve goes to heaven and the horse is shitting out cheeseburgers, is it?
No.
That's a different episode.
I don't even think that's a
heaven?
Christmas
Okay.
episode.
No, okay, yeah. Sorry, just...
But that's a great
Steve,
episode, too.
Yeah, Steve grabs a cheeseburger. He's like, nailed it.
Yep. Yeah, so I think Rapture's Delight will be tonight's episode, which is always a solid.
Rapture's Delight is so good. Oh man, it's so good. The escape from, well, L.A. or New York or whatever, but that's such a good.
Because I mean, it's kind of a Christmas episode. It's only a Christmas episode for a very short amount of time, but at the grand scheme of things, all good.
When he blows away the kid with the shotgun. No! God! There's an elementary school across the street! Oh, no! And he thinks it's the Antichrist when he shoots him. It's just a kid from across the street. Oh, man. Good stuff.
So good. All right, well, let's call it a night then. We'll have our Taco Bell for next week, and yeah, we'll have our post-Christmas... I don't even know what it'll be, but it'll be a follow-up of some sorts.
We're gonna do next week's podcast, and then we'll have to evaluate whether or not we're gonna have the following episode.
Probably should just be Game of the
Year. Or just Game of the Year. And then the reason it's a good thing that I'm bringing this up. Then, do you guys want to spend time on Game of the Year prep next week? I know we talked about bleeding some of that into the week before.
So let's try to weed down our list of 41 next week then.
Yeah, because we'll probably not have a ton to update. There's next week. No. I wouldn't think. I would say it's probably let's do that weed down list to 41 and just call it. I think that works.
That sounds. We're starting at 41 next week, or we're gonna establish the 41. Help me remember.
Establish the 41, right?
The 41.
Yep.
Establish the 41.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. That way we can just all play whatever we want to as we firm up our lists.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. Well, this has been the Master of Unlocking podcast for this week. Next week starts the Game of the Year. We'll see you this week.